Here's how I'm taking a solo trip to Guatemala with 4 days of PTO and like $700. I realize that some people actually are not sure how to plan a solo trip, so I'm going to take you through the process of how I'm planning this one. First things first, I did not plan this trip knowing I wanted to go to Guatemala. Google Flights told me I was going to Guatemala. So this is what I do every single time I book a trip. I go to Google Flights and I look at where the cheapest flights are, right? We've all heard the saying, beggars can't be choosers. If you're trying to be on a budget trip, you can't really just pick where you want to go. You have to figure out where the cheapest options are. So what I do is like after I find the first few places that are cheap and I'm like, okay, that seems pretty cool. I like literally make a document and I put the places in a list and then I go straight to TikTok and I look up this place. And some key things to search are like excursions, activities, food, anything you like to do when you travel, just look that up in the place that you might want to go to. And this is where you start to eliminate the places on your list, right? We're starting off with all possible options. Now we want to kind of break down to a few places where we're like, okay, this seems like I could have a really fun time here and I want to like dig a little bit deeper. So now that you've narrowed down your places, I'd probably say like narrow down to 3 or 2. We're going to do a deeper dive now. So what I do is I go back to these places and I'm really gonna actually start digging deep now. So I'm creating a list of things that I wanna do and cities that I wanna see. So for me, I do like maybe like 2 or 3 cities, right? And we're gonna map this out and see actually if we can do this. So here we have Guatemala and we see that the cheapest flight is to Guatemala City. The only problem I have with Google Flights is that sometimes the cheapest flight will be to like some random ass airport. So now we need to dig a little bit deeper and see, okay, where are the things that you want to do? Are they actually close to the airport? Is this actually feasible? So for example, this is Guatemala. I think Antigua is right about here and Lake Atitlan is over here. These are the 2 places that I really want to go to. So they seem pretty close. But maps can be deceiving. So let's see actually how far apart these places are. Alrighty, so we see here Guatemala City to Antigua is about an hour and a half. And from Antigua, I would be going to Lake Atitlan, which is about 2.5 hours. But how am I actually going to get there? So now I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to search how to get around Guatemala. And based off what I searched, they said shuttles, like bus shuttles, are the best way to get around. Great, so we've got that. But now I actually have to see how much is it, how long does it take, when are they actually available? So I found this shuttle service, and this is what I'll probably use to plan my transportation between all of the cities. So now that I know that it's possible that I can get around affordably, and I also have places where I want to see, I'm going to start looking at accommodations. For this, just choose your preference. I like to stay in hostels, so I'm going to go to Hostel World and just look and browse through there, but you can also look at Airbnbs and hotels. For this step, I like to do like a double verification on my flights to make sure the timing is actually going to work for check-in and check-out for the places that I'm looking at. Because for example, Google Flights initially gave me the cheapest flight leaving Guatemala to go back to my city at like 12 a.m. And that was just not going to work considering I was going to have to take a boat from the hostel back to the city in Lake Atitlan and then take a shuttle from Lake Atitlan all the way back to the airport. But now you're basically done. This is the fun part. Now that you know where you're going to stay, your flights, and how you're going to get around, you can start planning your excursions and booking those. So for everything that I've planned and with a little buffer, I've come to roughly $700. And this is a little bit cheaper because I am using $200 of flight credits for my flight. But I think it's a pretty affordable destination and I'm only taking 4 days of PTO.